Okay, let's start with deploying your Kubernetes cluster on AWS infrastructure. Prerequisites. First thing you need would be a working instance on AWS or any system you have which was connected with internet, and you would need to get some binaries which the Kubernetes is providing. They have a wonderful documentation on kubernetes.io and they're explaining you how to do it. Okay, so you need two major things, that is, first an environment variable which tells you what's the source of the Kubernetes. So Kubernetes is nothing, it's but a tool which tries to orchestrate your containers, so it needs a source. So the infrastructure source is AWS as of now, and you do a wget to get all your binaries into your system. So now I have one system that is t2.micro running on AWS. I'll be using this as a base system to deploy my Kubernetes. So nothing, I go back. So this is my system. I'll go to my home folder. So after doing the wget, what I get is Kubernetes. So this is the Kubernetes folder, and inside this, if you see, there is a set of scripts available which helps you in bootstrapping the Kubernetes cluster. If I check the environment variable, I have an environment variable available, that is Kubernetes provider is equal to AWS. And if you're using GCP, you give your GCP. If you're using OpenStack, you use it as per your requirements. I mean, whatever IaaS is available with you. The infrastructure is from AWS, so I'm going with AWS. Now, to start your cluster, you go inside the cluster and there's a script. The startup script is there, that is kubeup.sh. So you just run that. So when you start running this, you will see a set of scripts being executed at the backend. So it's nothing but AWS scripts getting executed. It's using Amazon S3 service to store some of the application Kubernetes data. So as you can see, it started bootstrapping. It's creating a VPC on its own, and then the VPC is nothing but to host all the instances under that VPC. It's creating the connection to the internet to those instances created. It's adding tags, certain level of prerequisites it does before creating the master and the minion systems. So in Kubernetes, if you have a master, you will have corresponding nodes available with them. So if you are forming a cluster of, let's say, 3 nodes, one will be master and 2 will be minions. So as you can see, it has added tags, it created a VPC, created a master. It's waiting for the master to come up actually. So yeah, the master is running. Okay, you want to see the master? Reload it. So this is the Kubernetes master. So Kubernetes takes care of all the tagging requirements, tags it in a proper manner so that we know what system it is and what it actually is doing. So the Kubernetes master is up. Anytime the minions will be up, the nodes will be up and running, which will be supporting the master. Okay, so it's creating the minion configuration and creating the autoscaling group. Okay, the minions are going to start anytime. It's waiting. So as you can see here, the process will be easy to grab it. Okay, so can you see? So this is the pending state. It will be running in any time. So once your Kubernetes cluster is up and running with all the nodes having Docker installed in it, you are good to go and deploy any of your Docker images available on the Docker Hub or any of your private registries. So I have a public image available on hub.docker.com. We can try to deploy that. So I have 2 services here, multiply service, add service. Nothing but these are the 2 Spring Boot apps which I created. So add service is one service acting as a REST controller, which will take input as 2 or 3 or 4, any number. It will add to 10 and give you the result. So pom.xml is nothing but the Maven script to build the project. So if you just go and run as Maven build, it will build it. So my build has started and it's deployed on my local. So I'll just show you what exactly it is. It's nothing but a microservice. Localhost 8080/multiply. Let's add 12. So if I pass 12, it's 22. If I pass 1, it gives you 11. So it's just a microservice. Just for an example, I've used it. I'll be deploying this microservice as well as another multiply microservice using Docker on Kubernetes. So I go back and let's see where our cluster is. So 4 minions have started, ready to be used in the Kubernetes cluster. Let's go back and check on the management console. So all are in the running state. So these 1, 2, 3, 4, these are the Kubernetes minions. They act as supporting soldiers for the Kubernetes master. Kubernetes master is nothing but where your actual API server of the Kubernetes is deployed. So all the requests going to Kubernetes will be taken by the master and it will be served to all these 4 minions. And these minions will deploy your containers. Okay, so now we have this image, multiply service and add service. I'll just give you a brief on, just show you how we can create Docker image. So I have a system here where I have installed Docker as well as Jenkins to show you how we can do a continuous integration with building the Java application, starting from building the Java application to Dockerizing them and then deploying it into the Kubernetes cluster. Okay, so let me just get into the box. This is my Docker box, which I have created to play around with Docker. Oh, this is an Ubuntu machine. So my Jenkins is up anytime. So let's go back to what we are doing. Okay, so I just showed you I have 2 services with me. One is the add service, second is the multiply service. I'm going to write a Docker file for each of these services. I get into my Docker images folder, get into this. Let's say we write it for add service first. So I have a Docker file here. Okay, so as my microservice is a Java microservice, I need a base Docker image. So I'll make sure I copy another Docker image, that is the Java Docker image. That is the latest version, that is 1.8 or whichever is the latest. Okay, the second thing I write in a Docker file is maintainer, who is actually the maintainer for the script or for the image. Okay, third thing, which port I'm going to expose for my container to start accepting the request, that is 8080. Okay, now after that is done, I need my artifact. Okay, so where is my artifact? I need that artifact from somewhere, right? So it is from my artifact tree. Okay, so I have uploaded my artifact jar onto the Jenkins artifact tree. So I'm duplicating that jar file. So once I duplicate the jar file and it's available with me in my container, I do a java -jar add service.jar, and that starts my Spring Boot application. As simple as that. So this is what I need my Docker file to be doing. So now I go back. So this is writing a Docker file. The second step after writing a Docker file is building a Docker file, and then comes running the Docker file. So let me see, I have a history. This command earlier, I can just get you. Okay. So this is the command, sudo docker build -t. -t is nothing but the tag name, my repository name slash the service image name and the version name with which the image is going to be uploaded into the Docker Hub. And dot is the current directory where the Docker file is available. So when I run this, so my Docker build has started, also completed. So from Java latest, it keeps creating intermediate containers, keeps checking whether there is any error in the script file or not. If there is, it won't build. So now that there are no errors in the Docker file, it builds your Docker image. So if you want to check how many images you have in your local, you have a command, sudo docker images. So these are the images which I created, is this one with the tag 1.0. Now I can push this using docker push to my repository, and that's how I pushed it to Docker Hub. So these are my two repositories available to be pulled by the Kubernetes cluster. Now that I have my Docker images on here, anytime my Kubernetes cluster can go and deploy these services. Okay, so now is the time when I go back to my Kubernetes cluster. Okay, so Kubernetes cluster is up and running with 4 nodes, 1 master. Kubernetes master is running. It comes with a set of tool chains like Kubernetes dashboard, wherein you can just go in and deploy your apps directly using the GUI. It comes with a Kibana monitoring and logging tool. It comes with Grafana, which is again a monitoring tool. So we'll cover this later, and they are not like the topic for this discussion. So we'll just go ahead and use the kubectl. So this is my Kubernetes instance, which I had it in the start, which I'm using to deploy the Kubernetes cluster. So this is the folder. So this was the cluster folder, and we used to come up with the Kubernetes cluster. Now kubectl is a command which serves as a tool which interfaces between the master and the nodes. So now I want to deploy my image repository slash the image name with replicas 2 and port 8080. So I click it. So it's done. Deployment at service created. How do you check your deployments? Kubectl get deployments. Okay. So again, how do I check my pods? Kubectl get pods. Pods are nothing but these are containers. Actually, the containers run inside the pod. Pod run inside a node. A node is nothing but they are the soldiers of your master. And master takes care of all the requests, and the master serves these requests to the pods according to the pods. So now that I have created my deployment, I need to run my deployment. I need to expose it as a service. So I will expose this deployment as a service with the type load balancer. Okay, looks like I gave a wrong name. Okay, yes. So we are doing it for add service. So the service is exposed onto the load balancer. Get services gives you the list of services exposed. So this is the external IP which I will be showing to you in AWS. So this is nothing but a load balancer available in AWS which exposes to your microservices. So you have 2 replicas, so each will be load balanced using the load balancer provided by the AWS. So after the service is exposed, so you get a load balancer which is serving all these 3-4 minions, and your container is deployed. you go in